Welcome to the deep dive.
Sometimes you think the NBA offseason might actually slow down, but
Mhm.
here we are,
Nope, not a chance.
right on the edge of media day. Training camp's about to kick off, and it feels like things are just boiling over. We've got these huge contract disputes, really tough injury news, and these big questions about, the future power balance in the league.
It's funny, people kind of sleep on this part of the calendar, but it's so critical. Every little negotiation, every tweak to a roster, every player development goal suddenly becomes huge because teams are locking in their plans right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a ton of info to get through today. Our goal really is to cut through the noise for you, give you that comprehensive shortcut on everything. We're talking Golden State drama, Miami's sudden injury woes, what the champs need to do to repeat.
And even looking long-term with those ESPN future power rankings, seeing who's maybe trending up, like Charlotte, surprisingly, and who might be slipping, we want to get you totally up to speed. Exactly. It's supposed to be the calm before the storm, right? But for a few teams, it feels like the storm's already here.
You bet.
Okay, let's dive right into maybe the biggest headache out there right now. The whole situation with the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga. This doesn't feel like your standard back and forth on money, does it?
No, not at all. This feels much more fundamental. It's about his role, his development, his identity as a player. And Kuminga's agent, Aaron Turner, is playing some serious hardball. Publicly.
That's the part that really stands out, the public nature of it.
It's aggressive. Turner's basically put it out there. If the Warriors don't come up with a deal that meets their terms, Kuminga is, and I quote, prepared to take the qualifying offer. The QO.
Okay, so let's break that down. Usually these things are about the final dollar figure, but Turner's saying that's not the main issue here.
Exactly. He's been pretty clear. It's not primarily about the total cash. The sticking point, according to Turner, is Kuminga's guaranteed role. How is he going to be used? What's his development path look like within the Warriors system?
And Kuminga's thinking, heading into year 5, he's ready for more, right? He sees what other teams might offer him.
Precisely. He feels he's earned a bigger role, and honestly, his production backs that up sometimes. He's looking at places like, say, Sacramento or Phoenix, and he believes they'd let him handle the ball more, initiate offense, basically be Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, the role player version.
Right. He feels the Warriors, maybe Steve Kerr specifically, want him to be more of an archetype, like a defensive first guy, maybe cut sometimes. Think Aaron Gordon or Sean Marion. That's the perception, anyway. And Kuminga doesn't want to just be that guy, sacrificing his offensive game for the older core.
Which, makes sense from his perspective. It's not just about this contract, it's about the next big contract, if his role is limited now.
His market value tanks later. Even if the Warriors pay him well now, if he spends his prime years being, a glorified role player, that next deal won't be nearly as annoying. So his leverage isn't just his talent right now, it's his future earning potential.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics. What are the numbers being thrown around? What's the actual structure they're fighting over?
So the agent side wants a 3-year deal, roughly $74 million total, something like $48 million guaranteed over the first 2 years. But the absolute deal breaker, the hill they seem willing to die on, is a player option for that 3rd year.
Around $24 million for that year.
Yeah, about that. Now, the Warriors, they've reportedly offered more money overall, but they are flat out refusing that player option.
Why is that specific player option so critical for Kuminga's side? Why is that the line in the sand?
Control. Simple as that. If he signs a typical extension, he's locked in for 4 more years. But if he gets that player option after year 3...
He decides when he hits free agency.
Exactly. He'd likely hit unrestricted free agency in, 2027 at age 26? Right in his athletic prime, possibly lining up with a big jump in the salary cap. So he gets guaranteed money now, but keeps the power to demand a max deal from anyone very soon.
And the Warriors want the opposite. Cost certainty, team control.
You got it. It's a classic standoff. Player wants flexibility and future upside. Team wants cost control and predictability.
Okay, but then there's this threat hanging over everything. Kuminga actually taking the qualifying offer. That's only about $8 million for next year, right?
Yeah.
What happens if he does that? What's the real damage to Golden State?
Oh, it's catastrophic for them, truly. First off, taking the QO means he loses his trade clause, which sounds weird, but the bigger issue...
He becomes an expiring contract?
Bingo! Makes him an unrestricted free agent next summer, 2025.
Yeah.
The Warriors would lose arguably their most valuable young asset, their most athletic player, for absolutely nothing.
Wow.
And Turner's twisting the knife, reminding everyone Kuminga was already their third leading scorer. He's got leverage, and the agent is making it clear it feels like the Warriors' inflexibility is forcing their hand. They have to use that leverage now.
And this whole mess isn't happening in a vacuum, right? It's reportedly causing ripples inside the organization, even with the vets.
Yeah, that's the other layer here. You're hearing reports, whispers really, that guys like Draymond Green, maybe even someone outside like Jimmy Butler looking in, are kind of asking what the heck is going on over there. They see the roster, they see the window potentially closing.
And they see this standoff paralyzing the team's ability to add pieces.
Exactly. Some sources are using pretty strong language, calling the front office's handling of this and the whole young core strategy malpractice, specifically pointing to this idea of the two-timeline nonsense.
Right, let's clarify that two-timeline thing. That was the owner Joe Lacob's vision, wasn't it? Yeah. Win now with Steph, Clay, Draymond, and develop Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman to take over later.
That was the dream. Compete for titles and build the future seamlessly. But the argument is, it failed because the goals conflict. Developing young guys means giving them minutes, letting them play through mistakes. Winning titles now with vets means optimizing every minute, demanding execution.
You can't really serve both masters perfectly.
That's the critique. In trying to do both, they arguably did neither well enough. And now, the key young asset, Kuminga, might walk, while the championship core is older and needs immediate help that they maybe could have gotten earlier.
But hang on, isn't planning for the future, developing assets, what good teams should do, even if it causes some short-term friction? Is it really malpractice, or just the hard reality of transitioning from one era to the next?
That's a fair point, but the malpractice charge, I think, stems from how it played out. It'd be one thing if they successfully developed the young guys while winning, but the argument is they sacrificed immediate help for the young core, and now that core might be dissolving anyway. Look at the free agents.
Right, the guys who are waiting around.
Yeah, names like Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, Seth Curry. Reports suggested they were interested but waiting to see how the Warriors roster, specifically the Kuminga situation, shook out. And Malcolm Brogdon, a guy they clearly targeted.
He got tired of waiting, signed with the Clippers.
Exactly. So the standoff isn't just theoretical. It's actively costing them players who could help Steph right now.
And then there's the trade they reportedly turned down, Malik Monk.
Yeah, that's cited as a potentially huge missed opportunity, a no-brainer failure, according to some sources. Monk is exactly the kind of dynamic scorer and shooter they need to take pressure off Curry. Could have maybe even gotten draft picks back, too.
But they held on to Kuminga for the potential.
For the theoretical upside, yeah. And missed out on a proven commodity who fit an immediate need. It feeds that malpractice narrative, fair or not.
So it all boils down to this. If Kuminga doesn't get the deal he wants, maybe takes the QO or signs something he dislikes, is he going to be checked in this season? Is he going to be happy?
That's the million-dollar question, and Aaron Turner's answer was telling, very carefully worded. He didn't say yes or no. He stressed how important Kuminga is, called him essential, confirmed they have leverage, and then said, and this is key, we need to see him feel good about the deal.
Feel good about the deal. That sounds like.
It sounds like a warning, doesn't it? It implies that if Kuminga doesn't feel good, the Warriors might get a player who's just going through the motions, protecting himself for his next contract. Turner's focus seemed very much on Kuminga being ready for free agency in 2026 or 2027. That suggests Kuminga's long-term career might be the priority over a smooth 2024-25 season for the Warriors.
Man, that is a ticking time bomb heading into training camp. Just highlights how fragile things are, even for recent champs.
Absolutely. Razor-thin margins.
Okay, let's shift gears now. Completely different situation, different conference. Let's head east and talk about the Miami Heat. They're facing a sudden crisis before camp even tips off.
Yeah, Miami. Always interesting down there, isn't it? They're constantly trying to shuffle the deck, find that edge, and boom, news breaks that Tyler Herro needs surgery. Foot ankle issue.
That sounds serious. What's the timeline?
Looks like about 8 weeks, so best case, maybe a return around mid-November.
8 weeks? I mean, in an 82-game season, maybe that sounds manageable. But for this Heat team, losing Herro feels bigger.
Oh, it's enormous. You can't overstate it. He's not just a scorer for them. Sources describe him as their best offensive player. He's the primary shot creator, often their closer in tight games, the lead ball handler who kind of settles things down when the offense gets bogged down.
So without him, they lose their engine.
Pretty much. And it exposes a real lack of playmaking depth in that backcourt. Who steps up? Terry Rozier. You know, there are question marks about his consistency running a high-level offense, especially late in games. Delvon Mitchell. Talented kid, but more of a tweener, right? Not quite a pure point guard, not quite a shooting guard.
Leaves a big hole in terms of just initiating reliable offense night after night.
Huge hole. So Spoelstra's got to figure something out fast.
What are the options? Who slides in?
Yeah.
Does the whole offensive identity have to change?
Well, Spoels always has tricks up his sleeve, but yeah, the identity probably shifts. The sort of obvious move is plugging Duncan Robinson into the starting lineup. Gives you the shooting, the spacing.
But doesn't solve the playmaking deficit at all.
Not one bit. The other way they could go is bigger. Maybe shift Andrew Wiggins down to the shooting guard spot. He can handle that. And then start Nikola Jovic at one of the forward spots.
That lineup sounds defensively stout, big, versatile.
You bet. Prioritizes defense, size, rebounding. But you're sacrificing that primary ball handling and creation that Herro provided. You're relying a lot more on Bam Adebayo to initiate, maybe Rozier finding consistency. It's asking a lot.
Is there maybe a silver lining? Does this force someone else, maybe Jovic or someone unexpected, into a bigger offensive role and they thrive?
That's always the hope in Miami, right? The Heat culture, finding a way. But realistically, the silver lining here is Erik Spoelstra. If anyone can navigate this, keep the team competitive, find ways to manufacture points, it's him.
The trust in the coaching staff is immense.
It has to be. Honestly, most analysts think their ability to just stay afloat during these first 8 weeks rests almost entirely on Spoelstra's genius. Managing rotations, scheming mismatches, getting production from guys who might be inconsistent otherwise.
Because it's not like they have an easy schedule to start the year while Herro's out.
Oh, it's the opposite. It's a nightmare scenario, schedule-wise, absolutely brutal.
I would talk.
5 of their first 6 games are against playoff teams from last season. And get this, 11 of their first 15 are against 2024 playoff teams.
Wow. Okay. So no easing into the season?
Yeah.
They get thrown right into the fire undermanned.
Exactly. It tests their depth, their coaching, their resilience. Immediately, there's zero margin for error without Herro's scoring punch, especially late in those tough games.
So stepping back, what does this mean long term? If they stumble out of the gate, say they start 5-10 or something, does this injury force a bigger strategic rethink for the Heat?
It absolutely could. It puts immense pressure on the organization. Miami's always trying to thread that needle, right? Compete hard every year, but maybe not quite having the top-end talent of the Bucks or Celtics, sometimes flirting with the idea of a reset. This injury forces that conversation.
Especially concerning Bam Adebayo.
That's the crucial part. Bam's 28. He's right smack in the middle of his prime. You can't afford to waste prime. Bam years being mediocre or stuck in the middle. If this injury leads to a slow start, a season that feels lost early, do they have to consider bigger moves? Do they risk Bam getting frustrated? It puts everything under the microscope.
One injury potentially shifting the entire direction of a franchise that's always prided itself on competing. Wild stuff.
The NBA, man. Never simple.
All right, let's pivot again. From a team dealing with sudden crisis to the team on top of the mountain.
Yeah.
The Oklahoma City Thunder. Reigning champs. They did the smart thing, ran it back, kept the core intact, just lost Dylan Jones, really. But the challenge now is different, isn't it? It's about getting better.
It absolutely is. Because of this, this parody era curse we seem to be in, it's kind of wild when you look at it.
Let's just stat the last 7 champs.
Haven't made it past the second round the following year. 7 straight. So just bringing everyone back while stable isn't enough. For OKC to break that trend, they need real, tangible improvement from pretty much everyone. They can't just be as good as last year. The league adjusts.
Okay, let's break down where that improvement needs to come from. Starting at the top, the big 3. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP, Finals MVP, scoring champ. What more can you possibly ask from him? Where does he get better?
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But there are levels. For SGA, it's really 2 things. 1, keep building on the playmaking strides he made last year. Become even more refined, maybe a bit more adventurous as a passer. But the big leap, the thing that makes him truly impossible to guard.
The 3-ball.
The 3-ball. Specifically, getting that percentage up to around 40% and doing it on real volume, including pull-ups.
Why is hitting 40% versus, say, 36 or 37 such a game changer if he's already scoring 30-plus a night?
Because it changes the geometry of the defense completely. Right now, defenses know SGA wants to get to his spots, usually that deadly mid-range pull-up near the elbow. They can kind of anticipate it, even if they can't stop it. But if he's consistently hitting pull-up 3s off screens...
Defenders have no idea where to pick him up.
Exactly. Do you press up at 30 feet? Do you sag off to protect the paint and the elbow? It introduces total uncertainty. It turns his shooting from just another weapon into something that warps the entire defense. It would make their half-court offense potentially unstoppable.
Okay, makes sense. Now, Jalen Williams. J-Dub. Huge leap last year.
Hmm.
What's the next step for him, especially in terms of carrying those bench units?
For J-Dub, the key phrase is self-creation, becoming closer to a true number one option when SGA sits, or even alongside him when the offense bogs down. Specifically, analysts want to see him add a more refined mid-post and post-up game.
Taking advantage of smaller defenders on switches.
Precisely. In the playoffs, teams switch everything. If J-Dub can consistently take smaller guards down low, back them down, score efficiently, or draw fouls, that's a huge weapon. It gives them another reliable way to get a bucket late in the clock, late in games. It solidifies him as like a top 20 guy pushing towards top 15 in the league.
Now, the third member, Chet Holmgren. Defensively, already elite, but offensively, felt like he maybe faded a bit after a hot start.
That's the consensus, and maybe the biggest single key to OKC repeating. Defensively, he's incredible. Offensively, the goal is simple. Get back to the Chet we saw in the first, say, 9 or 10 games of last season.
Before the minor injuries started nagging him.
Exactly. In that stretch, he was shooting like 40% from three. He was attacking closeouts aggressively, getting to the rim, drawing fouls. He was a legitimate three-level threat off the catch.
And why is that version of Chet, the one attacking closeouts, so important for their overall offense?
Because, frankly, their half-court offense really struggled. It labored, is the word used, at times in the playoffs. They became too reliant on SGA creating everything. If Chet is consistently hitting threes and punishing defenders who run out too hard by driving past them...
It opens everything up, creates space for Shai, gives them another dimension.
You got it. It fixes their spacing, diversifies their attack, makes them much harder to scheme against. His defense is maybe top 3 in the world already. If the offense gets back to that early season level consistently, they become truly terrifying.
Okay, so that's the big three. Now let's get into the role players. This is where that parity curse often bites teams, right? The supporting cast needs to step up too. Lou Dort.
Yeah, Dort. Already one of the premier 3-and-D guys. Elite defender, his three-point shot is now reliable enough. The final frontier for him, finishing at the rim.
Still an area for improvement.
Definitely. His career high was only 57% at the rim last year. For a guy who drives hard and uses his strength, that number needs to be higher. If he can just nudge that up, even to like 60, 62%.
Defenses have to respect the drive more.
Right. They can't just solely play him for the three or the kick out. It forces them to collapse a little more, which then opens up cleaner looks for guys like Joe or Wiggins on the perimeter. It's those little efficiencies that make a big difference over a season and in the playoffs.
Okay, how about the big offseason acquisition, Isaiah Hartenstein? iHeart. What's his integration path look like?
Forget the three-point shot. He was 0 for 22 last year. That's not why they got him.
Right.
For Hartenstein, it's all about chemistry and connection.
Right.
Specifically as a rim runner, a lob threat. He needs to really develop that two-man game, especially with the shooters who create gravity, like Isaiah Joe. Can he become more than just a passer or a floater guy? Can he be that vertical threat, rolling hard to the rim, catching lobs?
Making defenses pay for focusing on the shooter.
Exactly. That unlocks so much for their second unit offense when SGA is off the floor. It's about finding that synergy quickly.
Aaron Wiggins provides that nice offensive spark, creative scorer. What's his next step?
Staying on the floor defensively, he's arguably their third best shot creator, which is incredibly valuable. But the knock on him, and something he's apparently admitted he's not comfortable with, is defending bigger players, power forwards specifically.
So if he gets targeted on switches,
he might get played off the floor in key moments. If he can just become adequate, use his length and smarts to hold his own against bigger guys, it allows Coach Daigneault to keep his offensive creativity out there without bleeding points on the other end. That's huge for their lineup flexibility.
Isaiah Joe, already a knockdown shooter. What more can he add?
It's about how he shoots. He's great when he's stationary, spotting up in the corner. But playoff defenses, they know that. They close out harder, faster, take away those easy looks.
So he needs to become a movement shooter.
That's the term, yeah. Can he be effective coming off screens, curling off pin downs, running baseline, and catching on the move? If he adds that reliable movement shooting to his arsenal, it makes him much harder to guard and gives OKC another way to generate offense when plays break down.
Makes sense. And Alex Caruso. Just keep being Caruso defensively, but what about the offense?
Just needs that three-point shot to be a little more consistent during the grind of the regular season. It dipped to 36% last year, which is fine, but getting that back closer to his career average helps their spacing and probably wins them a few more regular season games, helps secure better seeding.
Okay, quick hits on the younger guys. AJ Mitchell, what gets him into that top 8 rotation?
Got to refine the long mid-range jumper, He was only around 30% on those last year. He's actually pretty good finishing at the rim for a rookie, over 60%. But if he adds that reliable 15, 18-foot jumper...
Forces defenses to guard him, honestly, at all three levels.
Exactly. That's his ticket to consistent minutes.
Yeah, and the big rookie guard, Nikola Topic. High expectations, but what's the realistic first-year goal?
Step 1. Be playable defensively. He's got elite vision, elite passing skills. But if he's a turnstile on defense, he won't see the floor on a championship team. Daniels can't afford that liability. So job 1 is just be passable on D.
And beyond that?
Show he can play off the ball too, cutting, spacing the floor. He won't always have the ball in his hands with SGA and J-Dub out there. He needs to show he can contribute without dominating the possession.
And it really drives home the point. Repeating isn't about adding stars. It's about every single guy finding that extra 5 or 10% improvement. It's granular stuff.
That's the margin in this parity era. It's incredibly thin.
All right, let's zoom out from individual players and teams for a minute. Let's look at the bigger picture, the long-term health and direction of franchises, using ESPN's future power rankings, the FPR. These are always interesting.
Yeah, they're a great tool because they try to quantify not just current talent, but also the pipeline, the finances, management, gives you a sense of trajectory over the next few years.
And one team that caught my eye, mostly because of the underlying details, is the Charlotte Hornets. They're ranked 23rd overall, still bottom 10, but they moved up 3 spots from 26 last year.
Right, 23rd doesn't sound amazing, but yeah, that little jump is noteworthy. And when you dig into the 5 categories that make up that rank, you see why they moved up and also why they're still only 23rd. It's a really weird profile.
What do the categories look like?
Okay, so dragging them down is their players rank. 25th in the league, but look at the assets. Money, they rank 7th. Draft capital, they rank 4th.
4th in draft capital. It's
huge.
huge.
It's massive.
Right.
Then they're 21st in market, which is expected, and 22nd in management. So you've got this team with top 10 assets in money and draft picks, but bottom-tier player production right now.
Let's unpack that 4th rank in draft picks. How did they amass that?
It's a testament to some aggressive moves and planning. They have, get this, 24 draft picks over the next 7 years. 11 of those are first-rounders. They've been really smart about collecting future assets. And that 7th rank in money comes from having flexibility. Good contracts, tradable deals like Miles Bridges, the ability to take on salary if needed.
They have the tools for a rebuild, clearly.
Absolutely. The foundation is there in terms of assets.
And that 22nd rank in management, still low. But is that actually seen as an improvement, reflecting the post-Michael Jordan era?
That's exactly the read. Sources suggest that moving up to 22nd, maybe up 5 to 7 spots from where they likely were perceived before, is a direct result of the new regime under GM Jeff Peterson. People are noticing the asset accumulation, the more professional approach, the smarter contracts. It's shifting from kind of chaotic to, okay, there's a plan here.
So the perception is improving, the assets are elite, but the overall rank is still dragged down by that 25th in players. Why so low there? Is it just a lack of talent?
It's not necessarily lack of talent. It's lack of proven, healthy production from their core guys. It really comes down to LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. Both have shown flashes of brilliance, but neither has put together a full, healthy season to really establish themselves consistently.
So the ranking reflects the uncertainty.
Exactly. The potential is there, but the FPR is basically saying, show us. Show us a healthy LaMelo being an all-star caliber player for 70 games. Show us Brandon Miller taking that next step consistently. If those two guys stay healthy and pop.
That 25th player rank shoots way up.
Rockets up. And their overall FPR ranking would climb significantly, much closer to reflecting those elite asset scores. They're kind of a coiled spring waiting for health.
Makes sense. And speaking of the current roster, they just made a move, waived DJ Jeffries. What other decisions are looming for them as they finalize things for the season?
Yeah, they're still trimming down. They've got a couple of tough calls left. It likely comes down to keeping a young guy like Nick Smith Jr., who probably still needs G League time, versus maybe trading a useful veteran on an expiring deal.
Like Pat Connaughton.
He's a prime example. Good shooter, championship experience. Teams always need guys like that. He's very tradable. Do the Hornets keep developing every young player, or do they move a vet like Connaughton for potentially more future assets, or just clear the roster spot? That's the kind of decision Peterson has to make.
Okay, looking beyond Charlotte and the FPR, who else made big moves, up or down? What did the rankings tell us about league volatility?
Volatility is the main story, really. Huge jump for the Portland Trail Blazers. They went from dead last, 30th, all the way up to 22nd.
Wow, 30th to 22nd is significant. What drove that?
Smart moves. Getting Denis Avdija is seen as a big plus, having a mix of solid vets like Drew Holiday, assuming he stays,
Right, forgot Drew was there.
and exciting young guys like Shaedon Sharpe, plus the rookie Donovan Clingan who projects well defensively. They look like they have a real plan. And speaking of vets, it's interesting, they also brought back team legends Terry Porter as a scout and Brian Grant in a player mentorship role.
Oh, that's cool, bringing back franchise guys.
Yeah, seems like part of building a solid culture during the rebuild. So Portland's arrow is definitely pointing up. They look ahead of schedule.
And on the flip side, which teams that we thought were stable contenders took a hit in the future rankings?
This is where you see how quickly things can change based on age and health projections. The Milwaukee Bucks fell quite a bit, from 15th down to 21st. Giannis isn't getting any younger, Dame isn't, and their flexibility to add talent is limited.
Makes sense.
But the real shocker, the biggest plunge, was the Philadelphia 76ers.
Philly? Where did they land? They were always near the top, weren't they?
They were. Last time they were ranked 4th overall. This time, they plummeted all the way down to 19th.
4th to 19th. What happened?
It's almost entirely driven by risk assessment. Age and injury concerns around Joel Embiid, plus adding another older star in Paul George who also has an injury history. The model basically flags that as extremely high risk over a 3 to 5 year projection. It shows how one or two key players' health outlook can completely torpedo a team's perceived future, even if they look good on paper right now.
Man, 4th to 19th, that's a brutal drop.
Yeah.
Really highlights the fragility.
Doesn't it? One wrong step, one major injury, and the whole long-term picture changes instantly.
So, tying this back to the upcoming season, based on all this, who are some teams, maybe outside that top tier, that could surprise or make noise?
Houston comes up a lot. Adding Kevin Durant to that young core, if Amen Thompson takes a leap, if the other young guys keep improving, they could be really dangerous, really fast, disrupt the West hierarchy.
In Portland, you mentioned being ahead of schedule.
Yeah, with Holiday maybe sticking around, plus Clingan anchoring the defense, they could push for a play-in spot much sooner than people thought. Their defensive potential is intriguing.
And conversely, any contenders who might take a small step back, maybe just in the regular season standings.
Well, even OKC, the champs. Repeating is just so hard. Facing a healthy Denver, a potentially surging Houston. Getting out of the second round isn't guaranteed, even if they're great. Cleveland might be a team that decides to pace themselves, prioritize health over maximizing regular season wins, so their seed might drop slightly.
And Philly, obviously, with those health concerns.
Yeah, the 76ers are the ultimate wild card. If Embiid and PG stay healthy, they're a title threat. If not, well, that 19th FPR rank tells the story. Huge uncertainty.
Okay, this has been a really packed deep dive. We've covered the Kuminga standoff and the potential fallout for the Warriors, the immediate crisis facing the Heat with Herro's injury, the specific improvements needed for OKC to repeat.
And the long-term picture from the future power rankings, looking at Charlotte's unique asset situation, Portland's rise, and Philly's dramatic fall. The theme really is volatility, isn't it? The line between contender and potential disaster feels thinner than ever.
It really does. We saw Philly drop 15 spots based on star health risk. We see Charlotte sitting there at 23rd, but with top 4 draft capital, just waiting on health from LaMelo and Miller to maybe shoot up the rankings like Detroit did recently, going from, 29th to 18th.
Exactly. It shows how quickly things can swing based on assets maturing or health risks changing.
So that brings us to our final provocative thought for you to chew on. We just saw the 76ers plummet from 4th to 19th in the future power rankings, largely due to potential health issues with their aging stars. If Charlotte, with the 4th best draft capital, could potentially surge if their young stars stay healthy, which other established top-tier contender, one we haven't focused on as much today, might be next in line for that kind of catastrophic drop in the FPR if their single most important star gets injured or shows signs of serious decline?
It's a scary question for a lot of front offices. Who's one injury away from seeing their whole 5-year plan crumble? That's the reality of the modern NBA landscape. The future really does hang by a thread, or maybe a ligament.
Something to think about as we head towards the season. We hope this deep dive got you fully prepped on all the off-season chaos and what it means going forward.
Yeah, hope it was helpful.
Check out our other deep dives.